Hello and welcome to Skeindeer Knits. My name is Ellie and I am a Norwegian living and knitting in London. You can find me on Instagram as Skeindeer, and Skeindeer Knits is my designer name on Ravelry. And Skeindeer Knits is also my Ravelry group name. Wow, Ravelry group name. This is starting well, but it's my fourth attempt, so we're going with it. It's the name of my group. You should join. It's a good place to be if you want to take part in knit-alongs, take part in prizes, and so on. Today is a very special day where I am very grateful that I am not running a ASMR channel, because I would be very frustrated if I did, because it's not the usual leaf blower today. Oh no, they are tearing down and pulverizing one of my nearest trees. I say mine as though it's mine. It's like I feel like the tree's my neighbor, and it's just being bulldozed and it's just creating the most grinding sound, but it's nothing I can do about it because for once I'm home alone, the light is perfect, we're going with it. So I think it's only going to bother me and not anyone else as per usual, but I thought I would announce that that's why I couldn't find a better time, really. So if you're new to this, what is she on about? This is my knitting podcast, which might be better referred to as a knitting talk show. It's not exactly a knitting school as such. It's more like a let's knit together and talk about knitting, and you knit, I talk for about an hour every week or so. And for returning viewers, welcome back. I seem to be in a good mood today. It's all very festive around here. I got my little reindeer lights on, I got my mitten calendar up. Anything you see that is knitted in or around on the podcast or my Vlogmas series that I'm doing this month, you can find on my Ravelry projects. It's one of the first links that I will always put below my videos. It's fixed there. I have it as a default, so whatever video I put up, that link will be there unless I actively remove it. So you can always find whatever I have knitted that I'm not explicitly linking to via that link to my projects. I always put a lot of effort into keeping my Ravelry projects up to date, which is with as much detail as I can muster, yarn, pattern, and so on. It all should be available there. But just to make it easier for you, these mittens behind me here is the Mitten Advent Calendar, I think Advent Garland Calendar by Kathy Lewinsky that I made. I think I finished it in 2016, and I think it took me well over a year to do so. They are basically a collection of 24 mini mittens that are so adorable, and they take ages because yeah, sure, they're small, but it's a very fine yarn and small needles. I don't think I've ever made mittens with that small needles before, and you're gonna really get comfortable with Latvian braids and Kitchener stitching doing these because they all have that. So I'm never gonna forget to do either. I'm never gonna forget Kitchener stitch. Most of us, I think, have to look it up. I'm just like 24, no, not even 24, 48, because you're also gonna Kitchener stitch the little thumb, the little tiny, completely useless thumbs that they have. But I love this collection, honestly. It's just, I'm really proud of having made them all, and yeah, would absolutely recommend if you're a comfortable colourwork mitten knitter. What's behind me here is my very worn out Marius cushion that I'm generally thinking of just cutting off this cover and binning it because it's so awful right now, and then I might just machine it a new cover or something that's going to have a bit more hold to it, because this is just, it looks nice in the background, but it's just, I try not to sleep on it, but because I have one room, I live in one room, it's exciting, but it's London. So my bed is like 50-50 bed and sofa. So like this side closest to me now is the sofa side and the other side is the bed side. Sometimes sleeping Ellie just rolls over to the sofa side, and oh god, I sound like a mad woman. Anyway, what am I wearing? This is exciting because I've never actually worn this sweater before today. It's the Recite sweater by Kiyomi Bergen, and I'm very sorry that I most definitely mispronounced your name. She's got wonderful designs. She had this published in Lane magazine. I don't recall which issue, but it's a good one. There's a lot of things I want to make from that issue, and this sweater in particular was so much fun to knit. I am usually someone who knits a sweater really vigorously in the beginning, and then about 50% through the project I just put it down and forget about it until next year. This one Arguably yes, arguably no. Because I really powered through it. It was quick. I did the sleeves quickly, I did the body quickly, and then I didn't feel like sewing in the sleeves. So the whole thing is supposed to be made flat, but that's not for me because I know I'm just never going to get around to sewing it all together. So I modified it to be knit in the round, both of the sleeves and the body. So the only thing I would have to sew, given that I did a 3-needle binder for the shoulders, the only thing I'd have to sew together would be the sleeves onto the armhole. Yes, I could have picked up a knit down, but that would have meant that this pattern along the arm, the sleeve, would have been the wrong direction. I'm just a bit too fussy. So since finishing in May, you know, the knitting part, I didn't touch it until I went to a knit night in North London to meet up with friends of mine there, one of which is Sylvia of With Cherries on Top Too on Instagram, and she just says, you know, it's dangerous to say this stuff around me. She says, I like seaming, I don't mind seaming, I actually quite enjoy it. And I'm like, good, do you want to seam my sweater? And she didn't say no. So yeah, she took on the challenge, and unfortunately first time around I gave really poor instructions. You know, me actually having the pattern should have just been a bit clearer, because I made the armholes too deep, and I was like, oh yeah, that needs to be a bit grafted together as well, and I really wasn't very clear. It was before breakfast, you know. So poor Sylvia had to do one of the sleeves twice, but it's done. And I am so grateful. I don't think I would have gotten around to it without you, Sylvia, so thank you so much. Check out Sylvia on Instagram. Yeah, she's the legend behind the legendary Nubian Queen sweater and cardigan. I believe Yonder Lady Dye Yarns actually has kits for both, you know, you can get the pattern and the yarn in one if that's something you're interested in, because I think that's the only place you can get it, just in case you're wondering, because I think most of us have seen that sweater and cardigan around on the grams this year. Is really good, and she's gonna try to top it this year, I think, for next Vogue Knitting Live. She's got another kind of African village kind of intarsia garment in the works. Speaking of Vogue Knitting Live, I wasn't sure when I was ever gonna say this, but I might as well do it now because I'm not sure when I'm gonna have time to record next, and Vogue Knitting Live isn't that far away, and I am going. I have no business taking a week-long trip to New York, but I do want to see my friends. I do want to go to Vogue Knitting Live. I want to have some fun, and I am turning 30 on the 20th. Oh my god, did you hear that? They just switched off the motor. This is... Just let me have this moment, and we can keep on talking in just a bit. Yes, I am turning 30. Oh my god, I just want to re-record the whole thing now. Anyway. I am turning 30, and as much as that's, you know, all well and nice, and I'm not freaking out at all, no. Every time my birthday comes around in London, as much as I have awesome friends here in London, and it was really fun this year, every time my birthday comes around, I'm just a little bit reminded of all my friends who haven't moved from London, and for some reason it just ends up bumming me a little bit out every year. So I just thought, instead of me sitting here going, oh, that person isn't coming this year, that person can't come this year, I'm just gonna go somewhere else, and there will be people there, or different people from what usually been, and I'm just gonna use my birthday as a pure excuse to meet my friends. So yeah, but for anything that's interesting for you guys, if you are going to Vogue Knitting Live, the event, I will be there. Not only am I going to be there, but because Patricia of Knitography was so generous and gave me this whole bag of these little progress keepers. I don't know if you've seen these. I feel like I should have shown you these already. Right? Because I got all of these, and I don't know what to do with that many progress keepers. I'm going to bring them to Vogue Knitting Live, and anyone wearing a Skeindeer Knits garment, be it a sweater or a cardigan, I might give some leeway for shawls, maybe, but mostly sweaters and cardigans, will get one of these. So just please don't be more than what I have of these, okay? This is all I've got. I would very much like to keep one for myself. But I don't think it's going to be that many. I'm not Caitlin Hunter or Andrew Marbury, so let's not kid ourselves. But you know, if you show up there, you're wearing one of my garment designs, I'm going to do my very best to bring these to New York and have them with me. And I hope that will be fun, because I think that's a good place of like handing them out like business cards, but fun. And I don't do business cards. So yeah. Anyway, let's get into the regular content. I just wanted to say that I'm going to be there in case you are too. I am running a number of knit-alongs. This time of year I seem to be running more knit-alongs than ever. So, I am running, I just have to look at my list now because there are that many. I'm running 4. So we're doing a Mr. knit-along right now, and actually the day of that I'm recording this, I released Clue 3. I probably shouldn't say that because I imagine it's going to take me like 2 weeks to get this episode out, but whatever. Clue 3 so far is out, and I think people are really enjoying it, and there's a little bit of room for creativity in there. There are these little figures that you can, without spoiling anything, that you can sort of move around and put in different places on the chart. That sounds a bit too freeform. It's not. You basically have a nissa, and they can have a skirt or trousers, and they're both there, but you can swap them around if you just want. I just thought I'd put in a little bit of, you know, a little bit of that. I have seen a lot of people have actually mirrored mitten number 2, so that when you hold them, they like face opposite directions. I don't know what I'm doing. You can do that, of course. I'm not, sometimes I am, as much as I have like really keen eye to detail, there are some things I don't have that much investment in, if that makes sense. But I absolutely encourage that kind of modification. I think it's really fun to see. So yeah, for those of you who have decided to mirror the second chart, I mean, yeah, have fun with that. For me, it's mostly like a thing when I knit it. I think it's, oh yeah, that would be fun, and do the other one mirrored. So when I hold them together, they're like opposites, and I need to stop. But when I wear them, I very rarely care. And when I see photographs of pairs of mittens, I don't think of it either way. So you do you, basically. I just want to say that I'm really enjoying seeing your progress with the Mr. Knit-along. Yeah, keep posting that stuff. And yeah, we should be done by the end of the month, which is exciting. And you only need to have 1 mitten finished, by the way, in case you're having trouble keeping up, because I did launch the mittens fairly late in the game. The other knit-along I'm running is the Selby Mitten Club. You have heard me talk about this every episode since it kicked off this year, so I'm going to keep it brief. You basically buy the ebook Unravel to take part in the club, and you will get a mitten every month. And there's 1 mitten that you have left to see that will come up at the 1st of January. Although knowing myself, it's a fair chance it's going to come up the day before, because the day after New Year's Eve, everyone's a little bit done for, right? So I'm not making any promises, I'm just saying. Round about that time will be when the last pair comes out. And I'm going to be honest, it's my favourite. Of all the mittens in the club, the last pair I am stupid proud of. I'm really excited about it. I'm going to tell you about the yarn I used right now, because why not? I used yarn from Sarbu Spinneri. Yeah, a little micro spinnery we have in Norway. We don't have that many of them, but we have the one that does yarn made to kind of mimic the yarn they used in Sarbu when the mitten production was at a peak, you know. Nobody really makes yarns like that anymore, you know, using the Blasitzer, the Grå Trøndersau, so that's like, basically means the grey sheep from Trøndelag, where I'm from. And yeah, I think it's really cool what they do. They do also have a little sort of funding project going on. If that's still happening, I didn't check before recording this now, but I'm going to put a link below where you can support them in basically getting a new wool washer, which is amazing because they are stinking expensive. And basically most yarn producers in Norway, even though they are very locally produced and have Norwegian wool and sell Norwegian yarn and spin it in Norway, all that stuff, will still export the yarn to the UK mostly to have it washed here, because it's such an involved and expensive process and machinery. So the fact that little tiny Sarbu Spinneri wants to do that themselves, I think is amazing, and I want to support that. So I'm just going to put a link to that below. Note to self, because I haven't done that at the time of recording. So that's that. Then there's the year-long knit-along of 2019, where we aim to make 6 pairs of colourwork mittens for the duration of 2019. I do wonder if it's going to be the last year-long knit-along. I have thought about doing a different year-long knit-along this year. I have some ideas for it, but I think I am going to announce that when the year kicks off. And I'm just going to say it may have a little something to do with these. Just going to put that out there. So yeah, that's that. Kusakofta Cal also ending at the end of the year. Basically make the Kusakofta pattern. I'm going to say it's a little bit late for people who want to join in now. You have to be done by the end of December. So I'm just going to keep that one brief. That's the knit-alongs. 15 minutes in, let's talk about actual knitting. Yes. I did launch a lot of patterns the past few episodes. I am almost sorry that it's been so much, so I'm just going to keep links to all the new ones below, except for the Mitten Club mittens, because I've already covered those. So just in case you are keeping on top of things and maybe binging all the episodes in one go, I'm just going to keep them there and move on to what I have been knitting on since the last time. Actually, before I do that, I realized I wasn't very detailed talking about the sweater. This is the problem when there's noise outside, which luckily there isn't anymore. Fingers crossed that's gonna stay that way. I get very flustered and I struggle to think and do everything clearly in a planned manner, and things are just a little bit all over the place. So I just realized now that I forgot to even mention the yarn I used. I bought the yarn for this sweater at Unravel. Why did that take me so long? Unravel is a yarn show outside of London in Farnham, down over there, and I go there every year, and this year I bought these 2 massive DK weight skeins from Skein Queen in this beautiful red, and I think it was some kind of, I don't know, Cormac or Adele pull or something like that. I think it was a mix of them, and it's just gorgeous and I loved it, and I wish I could have had more than 2 skeins because it was just a little bit on the short side, I felt. I also happened to get a sweater quantity of silk mohair from Ainsworth in my favourite colour. So when this sweater pattern came up and I realised, well, that's the yarn you would use, I just decided to use them together, and the meterage weren't that far off. I had never planned to use them together, even though I bought them on the very same day. But once I had them, I did realise I was a little bit short on the yarn amount, so that is why this is cropped, as they often are with me. Also, I have a really cool skirt from Collective underneath with pocketses, and I just feel like I am really put together in this get-up. So yeah, just thought I'd cover that last bit of detail, but more on that if you want to find the project in my Ravelry projects, where all my projects are. So yeah, what have I been knitting on since we saw each other last time? I am still kind of naively hopeful about my Christmas knit goals. I have this idea that I'm going to knit a full-on Michelle Wong cable sweater for my friend. We met when we were 7 and 8 years old. My birthday's just a little bit ahead of his. We'd gone to school together for about half a year at this point, and I didn't really like him that much. He was kind of annoying, I felt. I was also a very obnoxious kid, I might add. But it was the winter break, and so only the kids who didn't have parents who had winter break as well would be hanging out in the school areas. So there was like the after school arrangement. It's like a thing in Norway, SFO, if you know that. It's nothing to do with the San Francisco airport. It's basically yeah, just where kids can go when school's out, but you still need kind of like a kindergarten, but not really, because there's no education. You're just kind of hanging out, and we were one of the very few kids who were there on that winter break. And he comes up to me and just like, hey, do you want to be friends? And I'm like, sure. And from day one we just got up to mischief, and that's kind of what we've been doing since, although he's been way more of a goody two-shoes than I was. Still friends. It's been nearly 22 years, and I thought, suppose he can have a jumper. So this summer, and I had this beautiful yarn, and I found a couple of Brooklyn tweed sweater patterns I thought would be his style. I gave him some options and said, you know, if I was going to make you a jumper with this yarn, which is really nice and soft, and it's got this like nice pale beige colour, which of these patterns would you want me to make you? Of course he chose the one with the most cables, didn't he? He didn't choose the rift sweater or anything. No. He chose the Ulster sweater. So that's, I told him, well, okay, but you're not gonna get that anytime soon. I am like talking years here. So he knows that. So if I don't finish this Christmas, I'm not too fast. Like it's knitting, it's supposed to be fun. And he's very hit or miss. That's why I asked him, because I've made him stuff that I've never seen ever again. And I have made him stuff that he just loves to bits. Even the 2 colourwork socks I made him, I say 2 socks instead of pair. Because one was really big and one was just the right size. The only difference was the circumference of the needles I used, and they were different brand, but they were the same material. So I think it was a combination of, yeah, circumference that pulled them out a little bit, but also it being sock number 2, and I tend to loosen up a bit with mitten number 2 and sock number 2 and in general. So he still loves them. He loves his kind of awful superwash yarn mittens that I made in like 2015. I got a panic text message from him last year that he had lost them and he was freaking out, and he had called the shop where he had taken the mittens off in the fitting room, and he did find them again, so it's good. I don't have to make him mittens just yet, although I should probably do that. That would be nice. He seems to quite like the accessories, but it's a bit risky with the sweater, but I'm doing it, so I'm getting used to the new camera. It was very bright last time. It was kind of by design. I wanted to see how bright it could go before it was a bit much. It was a bit much, but now you know, it's experimenting. It's not too formal on here. And obviously the light situation outside is better. And it looks quite warm and nice today, I think. Also, I'm trying to get used to looking, because I got the screen with me on there. You guys are there, but looking there is very tempting to look over there. So I tend to look over there, which is just the window. So that is a situation. I'm sure you guys just want to see what I've knitted. Anyway, this is what we got. How am I, what have I done? Okay, there we are. It's all good. Still looks very small. It's not like he's a big boy, though he's a very tall boy. He's quite slim, but this is also cables. It's a lot of, like I said last time, knits and pearls. So once this is blocked out, I imagine something like this. Not like this, but you know, like there's, I think it will be just the right amount of ease for our little boy. So, and I think this is very much his style. I have seen him in a sort of white tweedy Aran style jumper before. So I just made considerable progress. I think I've done 6 repeats of the chart right now, and I need 8 to the underarm, according to the photo I saw. Albeit the photo was modelled by Jared Flood, I think, and I do wonder if Jared is a little bit shorter than my friend. I think it's fine. I don't think my friend has a very long torso. This is something I don't think about a lot. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to meet them in Oslo. We're all going to go to Oslo after I've been to Trondheim for Christmas. Going to go to Oslo for New Year's. I'm just going to measure them all. I'm just going to make them all feel awkward. I'm just be like, measuring tape, chop, chop, chop. I'm just like, yeah. So, knitted presents all around. He better like it. So. The yarn I'm using is Lamia Natural Wool that I was given by Hobium Yarn in Turkey. They just gave me such a pile of yarn. I think, was it this summer? I think it was last summer. And I honestly thought someone in the flat share had ordered a duvet because it was so big, but it was just full of yarn. So I got some yarn I've knitted into the Do Cut sweater by Kate Davis. Obviously I'm working on this now. Whoa, not in the eye. And yeah, it was a lot. I have also used some for giveaways. There might still be stuff, but yeah, it's really affordable and nice and soft for non-superwash, even just in general. So I'm just, yeah, enjoying my knits, basically. So that's basically all I have to say about that. I have done the sleeves, so there is hope. My only concern with this project is that it's made to be made flat and I'm modifying it to be in the round. So when it comes to doing the sleeves and the body, I might join it all in the round and do it like a regular raglan and just hope that it's gonna work out, that it's gonna increase. I mean, it should have the same number of rows even though they're separate pieces, because they're supposed to be sewn together and work in the end. I'm pretty sure, you know, Michelle Wong has thought about that. She's quite brilliant, so I think it will be fine. I just have to keep track of 4 different sections at the same time. Great, great. So it's fine. So yeah, this is why I feel like, you know, when it comes to the host cardigan and stuff, you might actually be better off modifying from something made to be in the round with a gazillion steeks and changing that to working each to front and the back separately than the other way around, where you work it all together with this several steeks, because then you have to read all these different sections at once. Whereas if you're going to work them separately, what you just really have to do is read the same section every time you do each of the 3 sections. I think it's easier to do it that way, but that might just be my opinion. But yeah, it lives in the bag that my mum made me. It's really cute. I went shopping into Lush a while ago and I just had this on my arm because I knit when I walk because I'm crazy. And the woman was so excited that I had a dragon bag. So yeah, that's London. Ooh. Yeah, speaking of London, I hope you guys are enjoying my Vlogmas. Those of you who are watching, no problem if you aren't, no pressure. There's just a little bit of extra bonus content this month. I'm trying to show you guys London. I do have some, you know, tentative, not even plans, but just like thoughts and thinking about where I can live that's more affordable for me next year maybe. So that's kind of why I'm just cranking out the London-ness this year, because it might be the last London Christmas. Who knows? Or maybe I'll be here next year. I don't know. I could go either way. So yeah, I hope you're enjoying that. I do want to add that please don't listen to YouTube's suggestion system. It's a bad system. I don't know if you get that if you watch a video and you get a list on the new videos you should watch on the side. You will be recommended videos you've seen before. You will be recommended videos quite willy-nilly. It's not a great system. What is a great system is if you are subscribed to the channels that you regularly watch. You don't have to be subscribed with the bell option. Yeah, if you are subscribed with the bell on, you will be notified when videos come up. Or if you're just subscribed without clicking the bell, you will have a subscription page. So go to YouTube Home and then on the side panel it says subscriptions. You will get everyday's Vlogmas videos on one page. So everyone who are subscribed to who do Vlogmas or just podcast, today's uploads will come up first and then yesterday's uploads and then so on. That will be way better and you're not going to get videos mixed up with last year's videos and so on. So I really do recommend doing that. Also, it's nice if you want to subscribe. We can see in our stats, those of us who have YouTube channels, that how many of our regular viewers are and are not subscribed, and it's usually between a third to a half who watch regularly but aren't subscribed. And honestly, it makes no difference if you are subscribed or not, but it's nice. Like that it's a count that doesn't mean so much because it's a number, it's quite arbitrary, but it's nice. Like it makes me happy. It doesn't like give me anything. It doesn't, I think the only thing I've actually noticed that subscriber count has given me is having more than 10,000 gives you access to the YouTube space here in London. So I'm just lucky to live in London basically, and I did go, but and I can like borrow fancy equipment, which I haven't done, but I could. That's the only thing it gives me, which is, we're already past that, so at this point it would just be nice. Gosh, I've never done that before. This is awkward. You know, people like these, they end their videos be like and subscribe, and I'm like, surely people who are subscribed don't need to be told every time they watch a video they're subscribed to that they need to subscribe. I'm like, it's kind of like when you have bought a DVD. I don't know if anyone does that anymore. And first thing you get is an advertisement saying, don't pirate videos. I'm like, well, I didn't. So I don't want to bother you guys too much with that stuff. So let's just talk about the things that I have knitted, because I've cast on a new thing Should I have finished that yellow cardigan for my sister? Yeah, I should have. I'm still worried about whether the sleeves are a little bit too big for her. They would fit me really nicely, but yeah. So instead of dealing with that, I cast on a sweater because Solveig, editor of Brother Garn, she posted that she'd finished a jumper, and I was like, yeah, that's my future jumper right there. I want that. Do I have yarn? And I was really stash diving. I still have a pile of yarn on the floor, both of Finul and Ask, and I chose my colours. It wasn't maybe my first choice, but it seemed to be what would look nice, that I had enough of, that I didn't want to split up my sweater quantities either. This is a full-on colourwork sweater, so I obviously would have had to, because you're not using as much of each colour when you're doing a colourwork sweater, and my colour and my sweater quantities are, you know, bigger than that. So that was interesting. I think I made a good choice, and I have finished both the sleeves because it's a bottom-up raglan. So I just started with the sleeves, basically for two reasons. One, if you're like me and you don't like swatching, but you still recognise the importance of understanding gauge, which I have talked about a lot, and I might do it more because gauge. Ooh. Me and Amelia of Arctic Yarns had a 4-hour long Skype chat last night, mostly talking about gauge. So yeah, because I don't particularly care about swatching, I think swatching isn't necessarily representative of the final fabric of the garment you're gonna make, I start with the sleeves, and I can just measure the gauge there. And yeah, I was bang on stitch gauge, because from previous experience I tend to know what needle size I need and stuff, which is kind of a luxury if you've made a lot of garments, and I made more than 100, so I could also estimate the length of the garment, and we'll get to that. So these are the sleeves. Look how festive they are. Just, oh, they're so happy. I mean, I shouldn't be showing you with the seam facing. It's not a seam, but like the increase, right? So this is a Roma pattern that you can find linked to via my project. You're gonna find that it's a pain to get this if you're not in Norway. It's just how it is. The only reason I have this pattern is because I bought it when I was in Norway last Christmas. That's the only way I can get anything from Norway. I don't know how to get them shipped abroad unless I get a friend of mine to send them to me, which is really expensive, so I tend to just wait until I'm there. So that's how I have this pattern. And the other thing I want to say, not to be mean, but it's worlds apart knitting a commercial Norwegian pattern to knitting a independently designed Ravelry pattern. They are just very different. We've talked a lot about this, like hand holding versus freeform, and I've defended these types of patterns a lot, you know, where you kind of have a lot more creative freedom when you're being explained very little. True, but there are some things where they're like really like you should. There's on the chart it says you should start this place in the chart if you're doing size large. You should start this place if you're doing size medium, and this place if you're doing small. And it's like really specific for the sleeve. I haven't knitted this far. I still don't see how it makes a difference, how it matters. And not only that, but you're also supposed to put stitches around 2 stitches at the beginning where you increase on each side. I don't know why they say around, why you just can't have them in the middle of the two. It's weird. And well, surely that skews where that beginning is. So I just decided to just forget about it and just do kind of what made sense to me just on a go. They're not even identical, but you can't tell. It doesn't matter. Why have they specified this? I don't know. So it's just one of those things. They aren't great. They're often kind of almost, they feel almost computer generated in the write-up. Like obviously the designs are made by people. I'm not like being super mean. Just they seem to all have sort of the same format, so things will be specified across patterns, even though not every pattern it seems to matter, and maybe I'll find when I'm joining everything that I am wrong, and then I've done something wrong and I just kind of have to work around it. It's entirely possible. So, but I made it work. It's just not as helpful as a independently designed pattern often is. These patterns are, you know, mostly developed to sell the yarn. You can't even buy the pattern without buying yarn to go with it. So yeah, it's just like a different thing. So yarn. I am using the two greys are Fionul and the red is Ask. So Fionul by Roma and Ask by Hillesvåg. I had one skein of this colour, and I do actually need more than one skein according to the pattern. However, after doing both sleeves, I still have the majority of this 100-gram skein left. So I think I'm going to be fine. But just in case I'm not, I can probably take some of this 500-gram sweater quantity of Ask that I have on a cone. So a little bit I can borrow. So there. Yes. The yarn is a different weight to the pattern recommendation. The pattern recommends Me2, which is more of a light DK weight yarn that Roma has, which is an alpaca and wool blend. I think Me2 is actually really nice, and although I don't particularly like alpaca for its sagginess and drape and all that, I don't like that for colour work. Me2 is pretty nice, I find, but I just boil when I wear alpaca. It's way too hot for me and I get very itchy immediately because it's so warm. I decided not to. But that doesn't really explain why I went for sport leaning on fingering weight yarn. Because you can see it, if I hold this up close to you, you can see how it's considerably looser. The tensioning does not look great right now. There's a lot of long flows in this pattern as well. There's a lot of times I'm knitting 7 white and 1 red, which I'm not a fan of, but whatever. You can see that here. There's a huge gap between. The pattern is full of that stuff, up with the trees as well. So that messes up my tension quite a bit, in addition to having the wrong yarn weight with the same gauge. So I'm hoping that's going to wash out, to just block out, it'll just be fine. But I'm really enjoying how light these two sleeves are. Usually the sleeves are what adds a lot of weight to my garments for some reason, because obviously a cropped body isn't very heavy. These feel really nice and light. Whoa! I'm gonna say this is like 100 grams. That's my best guess. I don't know. So I'm really liking using Fionul. I did that because Solveig did, and that was successful for her. So I just thought, yeah, okay, gonna do that. One thing I've heard from both Solveig and my friend Anna is they both have done the sweater, Solveig in Fionul, Anna in the recommended Me2, is that it's very long, the sweater. The sleeves and the bodies are the same length because you start at the bottom of the chart and you knit it up, and then obviously at the end of the chart, yes, it's this long, you just restart the chart and then you reach the length of the sleeve. You do the same in the body so that you finish at the same place. So when you're joining the raglan, you're doing the same part of the chart, obviously. That makes for a very long body, right? If this goes under here, and it probably will sag a bit as well. It's kind of, it's out of the frame, like it's at, my hips are done at this rate where this leads, like it's just a bit long. And I don't think there's like an outrageously long sweater length or anything like that, but this is the booklet that the pattern came in. If we look at the styling, yeah, I accidentally had automatic ISO setting, so the lights are actually changing, but it's kind of convenient because now it looks really good. You can see the styling here. This is very me, I know. You would think this sweater is kind of short, right? It's probably just stopping right here, don't you think? No, it's as long as the sleeve, remember? The sweater goes all the way under in here. This is where the sweater stops, under the skirt. And from the photos, you would think it was... I am a designer, so I know. I can tell when I see in the pattern, you know, 46 centimeters for my size. That's long. I know that if I'm going to knit a true crop, it's about 20 centimeters from underarm to waist. If I want to have exactly at where my waist is at the narrow before it goes wide, 25 centimeters if I'm going to have a comfortable long crop where no air comes into my waist. I don't get cold around my waist. I'm going to go for about 30 centimeters. So 46 is pretty full length. So yeah, just bear that in mind if you're going to knit it. Also, this is the guy version, thought you might want to see that. Just there you can see what it looks like when the sleeve and the body are the same length. And that's what the lady sweater is as well. Just the men's sweater obviously is a bit longer. You can see he's got a round of reindeer before, or moose or whatever that is. So it's just one more Sharpie. Just be a bit honest in the photography is all I'm asking. Just yeah. Anyway, I foresaw it. So what I'm going to do, now that I started the body, I'm going to, start here and knit myself all the way up to the moose deer and skip these two charts because I think they look a bit weird. I don't like any of these. They're like, I do love hearts, and hearts are really nice Scandinavian Christmas symbols. I just think this one is, it just stands out and looks a bit odd. So I'm going to skip these two and go straight up to here and get trees and everything. So basically, the body will look more like this. Does that make sense? So, cropped sweater, starting under here, kind of resting on my hip with the rib. Go from the zigzag pattern to the moose deer, to whatever that is, to the tree, and back to the zigzag, and just repeat that. And we'll do the hearts and stuff up here. That's the plan. And I am able to tell because I've already done the sleeves. I don't even have to calculate with row gauge or anything. I'm just like, just take that bit out. Just measure with a measuring tape and find your ideal length. So I think the body's going to be done fairly quickly, and I'm starting to think that I have enough of the red. So this is my conflict. I think I kind of want to be done whilst here before going to Norway. I just don't think that's realistic given the Ulster cardigan and, sorry, the Ulster sweater and the yellow cardigan. So am I gonna have to bring this whole thing in case I run out? How do I just, I can wind off some, but I don't like breaking the yarn if I don't know how much to break off. I don't want to, I know I can split splice. It's a hang up, okay? It's just a little bit of a hang up. So yeah, but I'm enjoying it. I could power through and try to finish it here, but I also don't think I have enough of the light grey. The light grey is actually my leftovers from doing the Isbre sweater quite a while ago. And the good news is I actually did the Isbre yoke twice. The actual yoke part, I did it once when it was way too big. I had put in way too many chart repeats because I wanted it to be quite big and baggy, but I took it one step too far. So I cast on the sweater again and knitted the yoke in a much better fit. Still roomy and, you know, lovely, but not that really big, kind of as though my shoulders up to here sort of. So I just redid the sweater, and so now I have this like disembodied yoke laying around. So I could just frog that and knit the sweater in it if I can find it. So that might be my plan there, so I don't run out of yarn and I can repurpose that. I even think the contrast grey is the same contrast grey from Isbre. So. And if you don't know what pattern I'm talking about, it's all in my Ravelry shop, which I'll link to below. I just don't tend to mention it because I feel like it sounds a little bit pushy. Like, this is where you can find that, and this is where you can get that, and this is where you can buy that. It sounds very like you have to. I don't think you do. I just constantly get asked where, and yeah. So I hope that's understandable and I don't sound too pushy. You do you. So that's all I have that I've been knitting on since last time. I do want to thank you for receiving my Nudebakken cardigan so well. It's hanging behind me here because that's what happens when I wear stuff regularly. They just end up hanging around on my chair. So thank you so much. It trended on Ravelry, which is also, it's just always really fun when that happens. So thank you. I hope it will be kind of a nice sort of during Christmas kind of knit for you guys if you have a break or anything, or just any, it's just got a lot of pleasant stocking knit, to be honest. I have one more pattern to come out this year, and that's it for this year. Obviously there's not that much left of the year, so I just wanted to let you know because it's scheduled to come out on the 25th, and it's gonna on the day be a bit of a special thing, which is only on the day, and I know a lot of you guys are probably very busy on the 25th, so just, I'm not going to put up a video for that, obviously you're going to be busy. I'm not assuming you all are, but like in Scandinavia none of us do anything on the 25th, mostly anyway. I'm choosing a lot of words just to say, if you want to know when it happens and what happens, keep your eyes peeled on my Instagram and my Ravelry shop on the 25th. Set your alarm if you will. It's going to be a pattern launch, and it's going to be a little bit of a one-day charity thing with a bit of, shall we say, lower price than usual. Can I reveal that much? Probably can. So it's a good cause, it's a good thing. I didn't choose the day, but it's just how it is. And yeah, set your alarms. If you don't use Instagram, by the way, I mean, you can just go to the Instagram link below and use that in your web browser, that's fine. If you really don't want to do that, you will still see it appear in my Ravelry shop. I'm very sorry I never got my act together to do an actual newsletter. One of the many things on my bucket list when I graduate and have more time to devote to Skeindeer Knits, but until then, set your alarms, I guess, if you want to. No pressure if you don't. I just thought I'd mention it so you don't miss out. Now is the only time I can reach you guys and let you know. So, yeah. Anyway, acquisitions. I have not been shopping yet again. I've been a good egg, but I do have some acquisitions. I went to Socks on the Beach Christmas party. So Socks on the Beach is like an event of knitters just to get together and hang out in or near London. So sometimes they are in Richmond near Tribe. They mostly are in Brighton near Yak, the yarn shop there. This time in Eastbourne, which is maybe where it's going to be more in the future. I'm not sure. And it was the Christmas party that they do every year, and this was my first time going to that Christmas party, and it was a lot of fun. And that's where Sylvia fixed up my sweater and everything, and I won Pass the Parcel, so that was fun. Pass the Parcel is just like you have one massive parcel with several layers of wrapping. You pass it around, and if it stops on you, you get to remove one layer of wrapping. Sometimes the layer will have a gift that you get to keep, but this time that wasn't the case. So only the person who got the parcel when you have the last layer, when the music stopped, get to keep the parcel and open it and all that. And I got one of the two, and it was a bit funny what it was. That's why I thought I'd show you. It's a deer for Skeindeer. You would think this was planned, but no, random chance. So it's like a needle punch. I mean, it's not in English, but yeah, deer needle punch. So that's that. The other things I ended up leaving with, which I felt a bit bad for, because I signed up for this in the last minute, so I didn't plan for taking part in the Secret Santa or anything like that. But some people going are very organized and bring extras. There was one for me as well. So I ended up with this beautiful skein from Primrose. This is my first Primrose skein. It's beautifully soft MCN yarn. That's a merino cashmere nylon in the lingo on here. It's nice. It's really soft. And I also came away with a pile of mini skeins just because there were quite a few left, and yeah. So I'm collecting a lot of minis. I don't know what to do with them all because I don't have a mini project. I did have a Cozy Memories blanket, but I realised it's not for me. It didn't jive with me. I've got enough knitting as is. So I might do the granny stripe blanket, or I might do the one that Amy's working on that's like kind of inside out. I'm not sure. time will tell on that one. But speaking of minis, I wanted to tell you before we kind of wrap up for today. There's a lot of people doing advent calendar with yarn, and I think I'm not going to sit here and like we go, oh, they're so expensive. You don't do that. Like, of course, if you have the means, you really enjoy doing it, and you want to support indie dyers, that's a great way of doing it, because they often, the advent calendars is like their big moment in the year. But if you can't afford that, if you can't justify that, one thing I can highly recommend is doing a swap. So in the pink hazel bag I bought myself the other week, I have my little mini swap. There's also a little bag of tea in there because, you know, aesthetics. So I finally had the privilege of joining in on Amy, Nikki and Katie's advent calendar swap. So what they've done in the past, and now I get to be part of, very exciting, is make each other, I think in our case being 4 of us, make 3 sets of 8 unique mini balls like these and swap them. So I produced 3 sets of 8 minis and wrapped them up horribly, I might add. I ran out of wrapper and tape, so I ended up having like scraps of brown paper and brown tape. It was awful. And just shipped them out to the other 3. So that's Katie from Instant number 23, Nikki from Tea and Possibilities, and Amy from the Stranded podcast. And I'm just opening one per day, and I'm just having this lovely basket of really cheerful mini balls that all look like they're bigger than the ones I made them. It's fine, it's fine. I'm not stingy, I'm just... Anyway, it's really fun. So if you have some knitting friends you can get together with and do that, whoa, it's rolling out. If you have that, then yeah, it's fun. I kind of did it last year as well. Me and Amy did as well. So I made 24 for her and she made 24 for me. I got a lot of fancy hand-dyed stuff and she got my rustic wool leftovers. It's totally fair. And it's obviously less, you need to have less yarn to give away the more people are in on this. So if you have 4 people, really you only need to have 8 leftovers, which is still a considerable amount, but yeah. One thing I can just recommend is really fun. And that's not a wrap. I have one more thing I want to show you, just because I just wanted to give them a little bit of attention on the podcast, because this is a really cool project. So weeks if not months ago, I backed BIPOC in Fibre on, I guess they're mostly on Instagram, and finally they sent out, because they obviously when they reach their goal of their funding, they will send out the different prices for the different kind of levels of support that you give, and I supported them twice on one level. I'm not sure how that worked out in my head, but yeah, I got 2 sets basically. So I don't know if I can use the second set for a giveaway or cow prices and stuff. I'm gonna have to ask them, because obviously these symbolize that you have backed the project and support them, but maybe you support them, you know, maybe not in financial means but in spirit. So I thought I'll show you, and maybe I'll see if I can hand out some of these. It also came with a flyer for the next Unravel, so that's pretty fun. So I got some buttons. This is kind of my favorite, really. Hey, focus. Oh, that's pretty cool. I like this one. And this one is really nice. They have a really cool logo. Hey, focus. That's pretty cool. Like this camera. I love this camera. And I got these postcards, so yeah. So that's that. I just wanted to kind of give them a massive shout out. Just take the opportunity, because they are basically mostly friends of mine, people I know who are excellent people and doing this really awesome project. You read up more about them on Instagram. I just wanted to tell them that the things they've sent out to people, they were just so neatly presented and packed up, and it's just, I'm very proud of them, okay? So, and yeah, I think what they're doing is awesome. So yeah, shout out to BIPOC in Fibre on Instagram. And that's a wrap. I don't have anything to annoy you guys with more today. This is So I will see you next time. I don't know if it's going to be here in London or in Norway or off to Norway. Time will tell, but you can always find out what I'm up to on my Vlogmas. And yeah, happy holidays. Is it too soon to say that? I don't know. And yeah, see you next time. Bye.